Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, May 24th, 2025. As we're in the thralls of disclosure. Casino disclosure has started, but I don't think we've really gotten anything meaningful yet. We've got a bunch of great things to talk about today on our UFO update for the weekend. Yes, there's about a lot of interesting things going on this week. We've got information, a Skywatcher update. We'll also be going over the F16 that impacted that was impacted by a UFO, and also talking about an extension that's been requested for the National Secrets Task Force. Lots of things to talk about today. Let me go ahead and jump into the studio and welcome in our audience, which I forgot to do last night, folks. Let me go ahead and welcome in our audience. I love y'all. Let me go ahead and get this going. Where are those pesky drums? All right, let's see who the heck is out there. We've got Andy W. and April R. Coleman. Brendan England's here, even though I initially scheduled the stream for 6 o'clock. Old habits die young, my friend. 2 o'clock, changed it. Glad to see everyone got the message and you're all here. Remember, be sure to go ahead and sign up for notifications, so when I make those mistakes, it still works. All right, who have we got out there? Kathy Spirey. There we go. We got Charmanian, Christian Morales, D7, Eli McGinnis, Firefly, Kathy, Kelly Barot, and those piercing blue eyes. We got Joseph Ferrantino just showed up. Good Italian man. We got Clipper, Ms. Cussout, Neil Carr, Paul Damon, Sam, Scooter Sanders, and of course, we got two midgets on the horse coming to us from northern Idaho. How about that, my friends? What a day it is, to say the absolute least. Let's go ahead and kick that off and get to our, see if our co-host is still here. Mike Disclosure is still with us. No. Mike is off at Chuck E. Cheese Land today. Family birthdays, you know how that kind of stuff goes. We've got an interesting show. We got Kyle Reinhardt here. Let's go ahead and get things going. Where is that at? Okay, I've got a bunch of stuff here over on X we're going to go through. Actually, the first thing I want to go ahead and cover is our top story for tonight. But if I could find it, here we go, and I'll bring it up, and we'll get this thing playing here in 1 second, and then we'll get to the roundup I have off in Twitterville. Let me get to it right now. Let me get to video full. This story comes from us from last night. That was over on News Nation. Let's go ahead and play it and see where it takes us.
Is the government finally coming clean about what it knows about UFOs? There's a new report by the Federal Aviation Administration that admits in 2023 an orange and white UFO crashed into an Air Force fighter jet during a routine training mission. And the UFO caused so much damage to the $60 million jet that it was forced to land. And that is not the only new evidence that they released. Trump's top science advisors recently admitted that the government may have anti-gravity technology. Look at this.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. We are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Manipulate time and space. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised that hasn't been a bigger story. So why has the Trump administration decided to disclose all of this now? I want to ask former Pentagon UFO whistleblower and investigator Lou Elizondo. Lou, it's nice to have you with us. First of all, the UFO that crashed into the fighter plane, what do we know about that?
Well, the problem is that we really don't know much, and therein lies the challenge, right? When you have an incident involving a $40 million combat aircraft, and only the details now are starting to be released through Freedom of Information Act and FAA, there's a problem. Now, we've been saying for the last 8 years since I've been out that there have been dozens upon dozens of these near-air collisions that have occurred with military and civilian and commercial pilots. This is not just happening with military aircraft. Now, this is the first time we heard of an actual mid-air collision, but some of these objects are coming so close to combat aircraft that they are literally splitting that combat formation right down the middle. So you can imagine how close combat aircraft fly when they're flying in formation. Now imagine a UAP coming in right between them. So this is nothing new. And I think, you mentioned earlier, why is the administration having the conversation now? And I think it's because this has really become the worst kept secret in American history. It's been 80 years of suppression and misinformation. And we're at the point now where I think the administration realizes that America can handle the truth.
Yeah, it does feel like more has been trickling out over the last few years. You've been working with the FBI on their investigations, their FBI investigations. What can you tell us about what they're finding? Is there anything new there?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. First of all, America is getting a heck of their money spent very well with the FBI. I'm absolutely amazed how well they're doing. In fact, they're running laps around the Department of Defense's Arrow program that was established specifically to look at UAP. And the FBI team, it's a small but scrappy team of folks, are really doing one heck of a job. And I think if you look at Luna's recent statement that she said when she was asked about the FBI meeting that we helped organize in the skiff, she said it was a 10 out of 10, and that I guess Arrow now has some explaining to do. So the FBI is doing fantastic, but also we can't forget about Tulsi Gabbard and the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and the entire intelligence community. There are pockets of excellence that are working very, very hard behind the scenes also to try to help boost the FBI's efforts. And I think we're finally getting a congealing, if you will, of the right people, the right resources, the right authorities to finally shed some light on this incredible mystery and give the information not only to Congress, but the American people.
We only have about a minute left, but the clip that we played in the intro, I just kind of find to be fascinating. The top White House science advisor saying that the U.S. has anti-gravity and something about time technology, almost like it almost just kind of slipped out. What are we to make of that?
Well, you're talking about the engineering of the space-time metric, and that is something that we looked at in ATIP, and before that, the programs before mine, and certainly afterwards. This is nothing new. What is new is that the government is starting to become increasingly more transparent on what it knows about these incredible enigmas that we call UAP.
Well, Lou Elizondo, we appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate you always fighting to find the truth and bring it to us. And I hope you have a nice weekend.
My sincere honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
Interesting conversation, to say the least. So we've got Lou Elizondo out there going ahead and stating that Americans can handle the truth. Interesting enough. It's something that I would say the world can handle the truth, for that matter. Now, the truth of the matter is that we're only hearing from the FAA. We know the FBI has been doing a lot of research, besides just acknowledging that they've been doing the research, and to also say that we know that RO's got a bunch of information, DOD, Department of Energy, Executive Branch. We're getting a grain of sand of information. Interesting to hear that they're bringing this out. One piece that they did not go ahead and state, and I find it interesting, is when this case actually happened. And I believe that was in 2023, almost 2 years ago at this point. Andy, your thoughts? If you could.
Yeah, that's all right. Me mouse button's a bit wonky tonight. Yeah, really interested in this with this F16, what kind of damage that was incurred on the aircraft. Obviously they've probably taken it. If it is a potential UFO collision, we're going to be checking for any residues left behind by whatever this F16 encountered. I saw somebody, it might have been Sam in chat, put a bird strike. Well, I think they know what a bird strike is, and it'd be pretty obvious to tell
If it was a bird strike, there would be residue left of the particular bird striking the canopy or wherever it struck potentially on the plane.
Yeah, so if it's anything other than a bird, you're going to have, as you say, residue left over from a bird. You're going to have feathers or other sundry bits and bobs of it. But if it's something more like akin to a UFO, then is there going to be residue left over? You talked last night with Tim about the arts parts.
Correct. Yes.
Piece of material. Is there going to be a piece of material attached to the airframe of the F16? Depending on the type of damage that's done. If it was a scrape on the aircraft, obviously it didn't come to Earth in a crash, so the pilot seems to have been able to actually get the plane to ground. So
right, because the object had to be moving pretty slow if it got impacted by the F-16 and the F-16 did go down. Because if that object was going, let's say 12, 13,000 miles an hour, like we have evidence of seeing craft move that fast, there wouldn't be anything left of the plane, would there, Andy?
No, I would say that, yeah, it would be, you'd be spreading, parts of that F-16 all over the countryside, so yeah, whatever it, we heard the what was it? The sphere within an orb, wasn't it?
No, it's a sphere within a cube.
Sphere within a cube. Sorry, yeah. That split the fighters. So this thing seems to have not been a very big object, whatever the heck it was. Is it the fact that whatever this F-16 hit was quite a small object, potentially orb size? I'm just throwing that out. I don't know anything about this at all, by the way. The amount of damage is going to be, if it's a large craft, it's going to be more damage. If it's something fairly small, softball sized or soccer ball
basketball size, or who knows? Was it a glancing blow? What kind of blow? Did it hit it directly, or was it the potential gravitational field around the actual object that impacted it? All questions that don't come out, of course, except for the little statement from the FAA. It'd be great to hear something coming back. Was it a Navy ship or was it an Air Force? I think it was Navy.
I don't know on that, but also, an F-16 is pretty angular. It's got lots of bits protruding. You got nacelles and different bits and bobs that are protruding from it. So I just wonder what the actual damage was to that plane.
Yeah, if I bring it up and show it here, I think this is actually a picture I use on the title cards a lot of time. Let me go ahead and bring this up and just show it. Document. Here we go. That's an F-16. So it does have some angular protrusions on it, but of course it is going to be aerodynamic. Oh yeah. You've got like the very, very easy to distinguish an F-16 by its engine intake. It's almost that smiley mouth that's stuck on the bottom of the plane. That's and again, it would depend where the impact actually was. Was it on the upper part of the plane? You've got less parts for it to scratch against, rub against. Obviously, you've got the tail fin, which is the major thing sticking up on the upper surface. Right. Well, if it took out the tail fin or damaged it, that plane would definitely have a difficult time flying.
Certainly, yeah. Obviously, if it takes a whole tail fin off, the plane's coming down. If it's damaged it's there's potential. I'm no aviator. I know Ed was a pilot. He might be able to give us a bit more information. I think he's here.
Ed, what say you, my friend?
I just want to say that the Navy doesn't have F-16s. So.
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. Someone else in the chat had said that as well. Thanks, Abe. Ed, you have your hand up?
Well, only to say that those airplanes can take a lot of damage and still keep flying. They built redundant systems into them. I remember pictures of F-15s that had wing completely shot off, and they were still able to bring them back and land them. So that's generally a feature that they built into them. last few decades is redundancy.
Absolutely. Thanks for that insight, my friend. Let's get to next. Neil Carr, your hand is up.
Yeah, hey, everyone. Fascinating story that you're starting off with here. And just thinking like, F-16, they are designed for, combat. So,
of course, yes.
I'm just thinking like, if it hit, let's say if it was approaching and it hit it kind of head on, it's going to, like Andy said, it's going to either go above or below. Below, you'd think it might hit, if it had any weapons on it, or maybe, attached gas tanks. I mean, potentially not good for the plane. That's really interesting, though, because you're right. If it was traveling, if it had any velocity, high-end velocity, it would have disintegrated the thing completely. So I'm thinking maybe, I'm on the fence with, I've learned to reserve judgment until I get more information on stuff, because I want to believe in that it's weird and unexplainable, but we need more information completely. But interesting, man. So they're saying a square within the sphere?
No, they're not. They just said there was an impact. Andy was bringing up the size of the craft, but talking about the sphere within a cube.
Yeah. Just really, really cool one to start off with. And glad to be back. I love you guys.
Love you as well, my friend. Thank you for coming in. Also, let's then go to Alice W. Your hand is up, my dear lady.
Hello, Thomas.
Hey,
I
Alice.
was just wondering if Billy Myers had gotten any photographs of these things.
Billy Myers' photographs are faked, Alice. I hate to say.
That was all.
I know he'd be one of the last people we would potentially be looking to for finding the answer on UFOs.
I just had to say it.
Absolutely. Tia, what say you?
I guess it hit the canopy. That's the part of the plane that it hit, was the glass part,
right,
that protects the soldier. So that's what was hit.
So it was the canopy then. Thank you for verifying that. Yeah, they didn't say if it was cracked, what all kind of damage was done to the canopy or the plane itself. Again, it's coming from the FAA, where they get the reportings of the incidents that happen in the air. It's the Air Force who's not giving us the answers on what truly happened, which is a shame.
Always, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Seems to be that way. Government has a really great job of covering stuff up, unfortunately. Now, I think I've got some good things going on Twitter here that I've gone and brought up now. I've got one of the things I wanted to bring up. Let me see which one I want to get. Not that one. Now, I've got a bunch of ones here that from yesterday. Let's get to it. Okay, so next one I'll jump to is Anna Polina Luna. Brought to us by Matt Laszlo. Let me go ahead and bring this tweet up on it here. Interview desktop. Where's document? Sorry, let me find this one here. Wrong one, but it'll work. All right, so coming to us from Matt Laszlo at Ask a Poll and over on Twitter. The scoop is Luna says that the Secrets Task Force has secured a 6-month extension. What does that mean for us? Well, we know they've almost burned through 6 months of their time to be around. Initially, the task force was put together and given a 6-month time frame to go ahead and uncover the truth. Well, put that aside. They've asked for an additional 6 months, and they've just received it. Good to hear, because we still haven't gotten to the answers and the questions answered about good old UFOs. What's going on with that? What's going on with the cover-up? Tim Burchett has talked about time and time again. Let me see what else I've got here. Now we've got a bunch of things. All right. So I've got a quote here from Eric Burleson that we talked about last night a bit, where Mr. Burleson is talking about he is in contact with an individual who claims the U.S. has discovered a new type of propulsion, and the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin. And he's got to check his sources on that one. Let's go ahead and get to it. And let me, supposedly, he says he has video of the first, second, and third iteration of the Tic Tac. Did he see a photo? It's nothing that we've ever seen. Let's go ahead and jump to this tweet here and pause the video.
I've had 2 people come to me this.
Come on.
I've had 2.
Bring it up. Let me get the video up here. All right, here we go, folks.
I've had 2 people come to me that say that the Tic Tac is a Lockheed Martin creation. The latest person that came to me says he has video of the first, second, and third iteration of the Tic Tac, and he's going to show me. So I'm trying to set that up. The way he describes it is that they had a prototype. They've made changes to it. They've made it more advanced. And then now it's in iteration number 3, which I did see a photo of, and it looks like pretty advanced military like craft, like a plane, but it's clearly human made. It's nothing that I've ever seen, our military has, but his claim is that they have discovered a propulsion that's a new type of propulsion. They used it in the first iteration, which was the Tic Tac. They have an intermediary one that they are more advanced with. And then now they're putting it inside of what looks conventional so that it's not obvious.
Disguise. Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying eventually that.
Interesting to say the least on this one, coming to us from the Timcast. Let's go ahead and talk about this, see what our panel has to say, and myself on this one. Yeah, I just have to go ahead and, wrong place. Let me get to it here. Go ahead and call it out. Tic Tacs had been initially reported and seen by engineers of Lockheed back in the 50s. The old Tic Tac, yeah, they actually had video of it and the whole thing that were taken. Interesting enough that they would have created this back in the 50s. I don't think so. So it sounds like there's some interesting people. Hopefully they're not people coming from Greer in this particular land, because it just sounds a little bit questionable. Yes, I would have to agree 100%. Tic Tacs are not ours, Kelly. It's one of those things we look at and just know when you have over 100 of them coming down to the surface from 80,000 feet, moving about 56,000 miles an hour, and all going on a trajectory where they're coming down and then going near Isla Guadalupe and then going underwater and disappearing. It doesn't sound like ours. I don't think our U.S. military or Lockheed would have a base underneath the ocean, to say the least. Let's go ahead and see what else I've got going here on Twitterland. I have to turn off the chat in the back because it pops up over this stuff. There we go. Okay, what is our audience saying about this? Yes, Tic Tacs do transmedium. That's why I think they were originally submarines. Interesting, I guess. They maybe not. So they are kind of small. I would say the cigar-shaped craft looks more like a submarine than anything. Let's go to Sergeant Daniel. Go ahead.
I think I'd have to buy the fact that there's a new propulsion system. I think that science guy, letting us know that, we can warp time and space. I think they get us ready for something. I still don't think those Tic Tacs flying around our aircraft were ours. So they might have just got the design. Maybe that's just the design that has to work with that propulsion system. Maybe it has to look like a Tic Tac in order for it to perform right. So we might not have the material science for it, but we could possibly have the propulsion system.
Yeah, looking at the chat, there seems to be a divide going. A bunch of people are saying they're ours. Some people are saying they're not ours. And what does that give us an opportunity to do? Go ahead and do a survey. If I can find the button hitting behind the camera, and let's start a poll. What are we going to put on this poll? I know we'll say, let me take this out of here, bring it up, and let me show this. All right, we'll make it simple. Really simple, folks. The Tic Tac UFO origin, human or NHI? Toward, actually, no, manufacturer. Easy enough. The Tic Tac manufacturer, human or NHI. Let me go ahead and drop that chat in there and this in here really quick. Let me go ahead and bring that up. Document, where is it at? Solo, here we go. We got a survey up for our audience. Let me go ahead and start the sound effect. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute. Wrong one, please. For what?
A 1 minute timer called round 1. And we're starting now.
All right, let's see what our audience is saying, where they're going to take this. Would you look at that already? Our audience is saying that Tic Tacs are from humans, 26%, whereas NHI is at 73%. So yeah, there may be some loud people talking, some voices going on in chat, but it looks like a majority of our audience is saying it's NHI based. Sergeant Daniel, how would you vote on this?
I'd vote that the ones messing with our aircraft are NHI, and I would say that we're probably flying them around somewhere on Area 51. That maybe they're conventional. So I think a little of both.
Okay, a little of both. Interesting to say the least. Ed, what do you think?
I think they're NHI.
Yeah, NHI. That's where I would vote, absolutely. With just 3 seconds left on the timer, 65 votes in. How about that? Our audience has spoken. Do a print screen, get a picture of the survey for posterity. Let me go ahead and end the poll. And there we go. Return the chat back to the monitor where it belongs. Shut that down. Let me get back. Stop the sound effect. Don't start it, stop it. There we go. Get back into the studio again. I've got a bunch of additional things. Yeah, we still have to talk about Skywatcher next. There's been a lot of interesting videos that have come up with a latest interview of the Skywatcher team over on X. Let me see if I can find where I hid that browser. There we go. Bring this one over. I want to find the story that gives a little background on the individual first, and I thought I went and captured some of these this morning. Okay, so
last month.
We're going to start. Okay, so the person who came forward on an interview recently is James Fowler of Skywatcher. Interesting person to say the least. His story changes a little bit from what we're going to hear here to what we're going to hear next coming in. So that's May 8th. Let's play this first clip, and then we'll go to the next clip. All right. Let's play this coming from Chris Cuomo broadcast here. Let's play this one. He's got a lot of things to say, he said recently. So let me get to this, and here we go. Live from Twitter. All right. Good enough. All right.
I personally have chased about 15 UAPs.
Oh, playback speed. They made him go faster.
And approximated 2.
Too slow. Hold on. 0.75. I think we got it now. Let me go ahead and replay it. Okay, here we go.
I personally have chased about 15 UAPs and approximated 2, one within about 200 meters last month. So that's what I know. We have definitive data. We have definitive knowledge. We have no clue who or what's flying these. I'm really on the fence between which entity we're observing when we observe it, but I'm firm in my belief that there's a blue bucket, probably made in America. There's a red bucket, maybe made in China or Russia, and there's another bucket that we don't know where they're from. And I'm confident that we're viewing all 3 of those in our airspace. And one key thing to note here, Chris, is these observations occur in broad daylight in the middle of U.S. air traffic. So some of the videos we've released, we purposefully put air traffic in the background so people can understand this isn't happening where there's no airplanes or no commercial aviation anywhere. So this is happening in broad daylight right next to national international air corridors, sometimes in them. So we've observed from being at altitude with these UAPs that we cannot see them from the air. And so it's our belief that these things are commonly around commercial aviation. In fact, we have photos and videos of UAPs in proximity to commercial aviation from our first sighting in 21. And that continues. So,
all right. Did you guys hear that really quick? since we've been doing, since we've been doing this in 2021, what came out recently is the Skywatcher group has actually been in existence, doing what they're doing for 5 years at this point. So, it begs the question, who's been funding them all of this time? This stuff doesn't happen for free. So let's go ahead and play a little bit more of this. Here we go.
Whoever's operating these, if it's blue, is highly illegal. They're not squawking ADSB. They're not adhering to international norms of air traffic. And if it's red, we should be terrified, because that would mean that one of our adversaries has impunity in our airspace and can enter our airspace at their discretion, at their time, and at their location of choosing. And not only don't our forces detect it, they don't counteract it. And I will tell you, I'm in constant communication with our government. I've sat with our government for the last 5 years in skiffs and asked them, give me an NDA, tell me to shut up, tell me that this is ours, and I'm a patriot, I'll protect national security, and I will stop. Nobody has taken me up on that offer. With the same breath, I've told them, don't tell me anything, because I'm going to talk about this one day, and I don't want to be tied down by NDAs to the government unless you have something you want to share. So my mind is polluted. I'm free to pontificate and think through things, because I hold no oath to secrecy on this topic. And I will tell you that from my observations, I don't believe our government has a clue who this is. And if they do know, it fits into the red or the other category. I would say almost certainly the observations we have, if they are blue, they are very limited.
So there you go. If they're blue, if they're red, but they even bring up the case if it's blue on blue, that they're in violation of a whole bunch of federal laws bringing it here. Now, if it is red, meaning it's from China or Russia, that would be almost be an act of war for have their operations within our airspace. If it's a non-human intelligence, like they've been around for the longest time, it brings on the next part that, well, they've had a domain over our skies since before we actually were in the skies, and same with the water and everything else. Let me get to the next post that I've got here for Mr. Fowler. This one where he brings up, they're talking about disclosure is more about disclosing secret physics, or is disclosure more about disclosing secret physics, like Eric Weinstein says? Let's go ahead. Let me slow this one down as well. Playback speed 0.75 so we can understand it a little bit better. All right, here we go, folks. Let's play this next clip. Remember, in the back, if you have any questions or have something that you want to add, Mike is at Chuck E. Cheese right now. So,
and I'm still here.
Oh, you are?
Chuck E. Cheese chaos. Yes, sir.
But still, we want our friends in the back to raise their hand. That'd be nice.
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
All right, here we go, folks. Next clip. 50 seconds long.
Is disclosure more about disclosing secret physics, like Eric Weinstein says, or is disclosure more about little green men? And I tend to lean on disclosure right now, especially from our government, is probably going to be more about physics. And the reason why is one plausible explanation for why we have been exposed to this technology, so that we can expose the fact that the physics supports these capabilities, thus starting a new age in physics publicly and new technology developments in physics, leading to an improvement in our current status quo. So perhaps our role here at Skywatcher is frankly to observe and report and to begin the reverse engineering of what is being seen. But I would offer, if that is the case, we're going to be 50 years behind any government, because that activity had to have started at least in the 50s or 60s and progressed to what we're seeing now, probably in the 90s, early 2000s. So perhaps that's what's going on, is disclosure is to softly show the world that this technology exists by disclosing to us that the physics behind it exists. Because what we're seeing, as I said, is completely unexplainable.
Well, I have to bring this up. This is a good one to debate on. Absolutely. This is a situation where, is disclosure about disclosing about the nuts and bolts, disclosing about the technology? Is it? But it could be. But I think what we're talking about here, if we have a non-human intelligence that's here on our planet besides us, I have to say that, well, it's more about why are they here? what are they doing here? How does this relate to the average human out there? Because talking about it, he's clearly in it from a technology standpoint, from a reverse engineering standpoint, potentially. If they've been meeting with the government on this for 5 years, they sure as heck aren't meeting with the Department of Energy. They're meeting probably with the Pentagon and such. Neil, your hand is up.
Yeah, for me, the question is like, why are they involving me? Like, what have they been doing in my life? And it's a very personal thing. Now, if they offer physics to explain theoretically or even factually, hey, we discovered a new physics that explains how they get here or why or how they're here without us knowing about it, or even a physics that explains how they're able to hide themselves in plain sight, or take away our memory of our experiences. That I'm interested in that, sure, but it's, if we're talking about the new physics, and that's kind of implying that, like, we're acknowledging that it's there. So, I mean, that's a form of disclosure right there. I mean, I think we're so near. I mean, I get further and further away from needing my government to be like a parent saying, oh, this is real and this isn't. It's like, okay, just offer me something that settles, that puts me at ease in terms of my own concerns and question, and not knowing if it's malevolent or benevolent. Like, I haven't even gotten that far yet. I just know that something weird is happening, and it's important to me. You know? I'm sure that I'm not alone in that.
Yeah,
you know?
it comes down to the question I brought up a second ago. Who funded it? What was it for their funding? What was it always meant to go public at a period of time and transparent? Or is that a recent change? And if so, as Dad and Zetterman have been talking about on X, why? We're worried that they're just trying to either patent technology that worked in the program, or just get back into the program's good graces. There's a lot of tough questions to ask out there with regarding bringing this information up and out to the public. Now, in our next clips we're going to be playing are coming to us from Alchemy American. And James Fowler has additional interviews that clips are going to be playing on this. Let me get to, not that one, you saw that one. All right, one we've got here. So this is where he's talking again a little bit more recently. So it's either adversary or NHI. Let's see if there's any difference in what he's saying here and how he's going to take it in the coming to us in the interview. Here we go. Let's play this. I'm at a loss for words today. Need more coffee. Let's get to this. Here we go.
Or NHI, right?
1 second.
So it's either adversary or NHI, right?
I would take it a step further and say it's not either or necessarily. It could be both.
Interesting.
Right? And I would also offer that what we are seeing, my observations and my team's observations, are that whoever or whatever is controlling these is probing our capabilities. So it's not like, if I see a class 1, it doesn't just stay in a straight azimuth and fly north to south like it was already flying. No, it approximates us at the edge of our active telemetry systems, like a radar and jammers and other equipment that may or may not be present during whatever kind of event we're running. It will approximate on the edge of that effective bubble and then fly through the bubble of effect. Wow. So they're putting themselves in beam of our systems.
Yeah.
And there's very few reasons why you would do that from a defense perspective.
They're gathering information.
Probably. I mean, there's not a whole lot of reasons why you would put yourself, if I have the secret stealth technology, if I have an F-35, am I going to fly it to Russia and buzz Moscow and get in their radars and let them quantify what my F-35 looks like?
Right.
I'm not an Air Force guy, but I would imagine no.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that would be dangerous. Yeah. Not because of getting shot down. That's obviously a problem, but also because now they know precisely how I look on their radar, which means they can weaponize that to detect me in the future. In other places.
Yeah, and they'll be able to tell whether or not they've been potentially seen and what they can do to modify their signature so they can't be picked up. So it's a question of are they knowingly doing this to let us know that, yes, we're here, here's what we're doing, or either way, it's covert intelligence, what they're trying to gather. Let's go to one of our guests with the hand up. Sergeant Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't like the whole blue bucket, red bucket thing. I can't imagine that they're throwing up that whistle and whistling in Russian or Chinese or, other aircraft. I don't see that happening. I don't know what you would think about that, but I don't think that there's no way. So whatever that is, it's either got a mind of its own, or it doesn't. I mean, they're luring them in for some reason, and they're getting them to come in for some reason. But if Russia or China were driving those things, that's the most valuable pieces of equipment they have. Why would they be playing with those Skywatcher guys?
Unless you're at war and you're using it for war, like went on with the Iraq war initially when we brought in the F-117 stealth fighters. And we took a lot of things out, bombers, back in the day, and we did what we had to do. We didn't bring that out there until we had an absolute need. Again, Lou Elizondo was said in the past. Well, I can't get to that one. I can't say that quote, so shit. Yes, they're everywhere, my friend. And if the average public knew how many UFOs are around us all the time, people will lose it, potentially. All right, let's get to our next. Go ahead.
They probably can't protect against them, and that's probably the biggest secret that they don't want to let out is that they have no protection against them, and they just don't want to admit that. It's probably the we think it's all NHI and abductions and everything. It's probably just that simple that they can't protect against them.
Well, I guess it comes into the situation as well when you're looking at this from a population standpoint. If the president of the United States would get on, broadcast out, whether on social media, on as a press conference and stuff, that acknowledge that there is a non-human intelligence on this planet, that they have technology that far eclipses ours, that we have no way to stop them. We've tried everything. They interfere with our military operations, our nuclear power plants, our nuclear weapons that we have for defending our country. Well, it's more like blowing up the planet for that matter. And they're potentially going ahead and taking people from our citizens away. Some of them come back, not all of them. People would kind of lose it if that heavy-hitting hand came out and told everything. Remember, we talked about this last night again. Lou Elizondo was brought up the old statement about somber. It's talking about it could be a farm, it could be a zoo. Any of this particular instances of what we're dealing with may not resonate well. They could even tell us that, hey, a lot of our religions was actually created by the non-human intelligence to go ahead and control the masses and keep us from killing each other. Although a lot of wars happen because of that. So your thoughts, Neil?
My thoughts are many. And not to sound like, one of our former friends who passed away, and may he rest in peace, Larry, but I'm not going to quite go, oh, it's all benevolent and good. But I'm just going to say, when we pass from our lives and move on to our whatever, we'll probably get a better scope of what's actually going on. And it's probably so complex and convoluted that we're probably so far from even theorizing.
But what if it came out, Neil, that as we pass into the afterlife, our consciousness and our soul energy is consumed by the non-human intelligence?
Consumed like nutrients?
Yes.
I mean, that'd be interesting. I don't know. It doesn't quite vibe with me though, but that's an interesting theory. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go on to Andy next. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but you just said about being consumed. That reminds me of a story that was on Star Trek Voyager at one point. But yeah, also what I was actually put my hand up for. Yeah, you said about the potential of people being taken and some are returned and some are not. What is, to my mind, what would constitute somebody being brought back as opposed to somebody not being brought back. That's always been what is the I'm trying to think of the right wordage for it, but yeah, what would constitute, this subject is so widespread. I've been part of your show for several years now, but still, we're none the wiser. We keep getting these snippets out of little things, of little pieces of information. But it is such a deep and complex, and I think Neil's possibly right. I'm not particularly a believer in the afterlife, but maybe whatever constitutes me as me, you as you, Thomas, and everybody else. If that continues after, I sort of have a gut feeling that we would know a lot more than we do now. Once we pass over that bridge, whatever it is, there's more in, whether there's more information imparted to us or we're more able to see the bigger picture. It's such a deep and complex subject. Right. It goes way beyond my intelligence level, so I can tell you that.
Absolutely. No, it can bring this as a question. Are the Greys the people going out there being the scientists, or are they the farmhands or the zookeepers? Yeah. Michael, your hand is up.
That's a really good question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, based on what has transpired in the UFO world historically, what would be the worst case scenario for not disclosing in your mind, Thomas?
Giant 10-foot spiders. And they're going to eat us all.
Seriously.
That would be freaking scary as hell, honestly. I could deal with the gray or other kinds of stuff that are humanoid and just look freaky, or lizard skin, but you give yourself a 10-foot tall spider with the fangs and all the eyes and stuff, and taking humans and spinning them up in webs and stuff, that would be really freaking scary.
Or in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there's only one, and for these, there'd be millions of them.
Jesus. Oh, no, they had a whole forest.
Hold on, Thomas. Please give us a real answer to that question, because that's scary.
That is scary. If someone wanted to know something would be, the worst scenario, that would be a bad scenario.
Okay, 10-foot spider. Yes. All right, fine.
Okay, what bad scenarios? A, they feed off of fear, anger, hatred. When we're done, and they encourage us and do different things to get different things to go to that. And potentially, when we pass away and we think that our soul was going to be going up to potentially be recycled and come back or to go up to heaven, they're actually taking us and they're consuming our life energy that should normally go through the cycle.
Okay.
Those are two bad instances.
Yeah, you know what? Same question to Mike Disclosure.
Yes, correct.
Mike is at Chucky's. Not sure if he can answer right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, darn.
Yeah.
You, Tia Maria. Worst case scenario. You asleep?
Oh boy. I don't know. What do you think? What is your opinion?
Oh, how about another scenario? They're coming here and screwing with our DNA and everything else and because they're trying to make their species I don't know. That's a bad one. The other one would be potentially we've got a scenario where we've got the advanced life form coming to us, and we treat them in the same way that the indigenous people of North and Central and South America treated the conquistadors when the Spanish when they came across, or either way, we're the less fortunate ones, and we get wiped out like the indigenous people have many countless times under humanity's rule.
Yep. Or maybe they allow us to think like that way, but really we're just like their food, We're just like a bunch of sheep on a farm somewhere.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Bah. Let's hope not. Let's hope
not.
Oh dear.
Yes. Anyone else with their hand up next? Let's go to Neil Carr. Your hand is up. Do you have an answer for the question for Michael?
Yeah. And I'll preface it by saying that I'm kind of in line with Dolores Cannon's work, just because so far it seems it's the most intriguing research that I've come across. But my theory on why they don't want to disclose is that there's two things. One, it's that cow mutilation. That there's also cases of human mutilation that they don't.
Be careful on saying those things on air. That screws with the YouTube algorithm, my friend.
Yeah, and then and then the other one is that it's possible that abductions are happening on a larger scale than we suspect, and that might also be part of why they don't want to alarm, the society.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do to stop it, Neil. That would be the case. Let's go to Sergeant Daniel. What say you, Daniel?
How about they're 1,000% in control of everything, and that if they've already made it known that if we know about them and they disclose it, they're going to wipe us out. That could be the somber enough for you.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Alice, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think enslaving us, all of us, to do whatever they want us to do. We can't choose our path anymore. And also maybe to find out that there is nothing else, no God, no afterlife, no anything. Having that knowledge, because I still hope there is.
Yeah.
So to me, that would be the worst thing, to find out there's nothing and to be enslaved, not be able to pursue.
Or what if there is something in the afterlife, but they're consuming us before we can get there?
I don't know.
Exactly. Ed Brown, your hand is up.
Well, this conversation has really gotten interesting now, hasn't it?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the worst case, ready for this? The worst case is when you guess something and you are wrong when you get to the other side.
Yeah.
And then you have to live with the consequences of that. Now, I'm not going to proselytize, but if the Bible is right, that's an if. And if people choose not to follow that, then when they die, they're doomed for eternity. That makes sense.
Oh, I don't believe that. That's hogwash to me. You have to look back in time. The humans have been in this form on the planet for hundreds of thousands of years. We've gone through many cycles of building up civilizations to get wiped out, to build up a civilization to get wiped out, to come and say, only if you were at this one point in time and you followed the stuff in this one book that we've got here, if you didn't follow it, you're all going to go to hell. Otherwise,
well, that's why I threw an if in at the beginning.
Yeah.
To say if. And then, then the other side of that is, well, let's say there isn't. Then the answer is, well, you didn't waste any time thinking there was. You still lived your life. You still enjoyed it. You still thought you were going to have an afterlife. And if you don't, well, so be it, at that particular point.
Yeah. Good points. Good questions all around. Michael, does that answer your question?
Oh, no. Hey, hang on.
Oh, Jeff? Well, you didn't raise your hand, Jeff. I didn't call any, but go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
No, you want to bring something up? Go ahead, my friend.
Well, no, I don't want to bring it up. I just wanted to say that out of respect for our servicemen and women, this man flew F-15s and A-10s in the line of danger, and he did it without, how do you say the word? He just did it. This man just did it. So, I don't have a point of where you were coming from, Thomas, and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's just great. Just fantastic. Just thank you. I want to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, my friend. Thank you for coming in the back and chatting with us on this. Now, we did get something coming in from Brendan England in the chat with the super chats. He said, Thomas, do you think Lou knows the answer to that question? He's hinted at it. And he's looked somber when he's talking about it. He thought hard when he came up with the word somber at that point in time. So I think Lou has a good idea. Can't say definitively, but I think there's a really good chance he knows what the answer to that question is, potentially.
So did they answer the question? Well, nobody is right and nobody is wrong.
Yep.
Another worst case scenario could be that the government only knows what we know about UFOs, and they're covering up because they're afraid that if some kind of technological breakthrough transpires into a weapon that no one else has, it's going to be, cowboys and Indians all over again.
Right.
The religion aspect is also a good reason, because they're afraid that society will fall apart. And that's the question, is how much can we take? And I've given this example before where, the day after Pearl Harbor, every young man in America was signing up for the Army.
Right.
America didn't go into panic. America went to war.
Right. Because part of the truth is, if we look at some of this stuff for what's out there, and we do get the truth, let's say on a Thursday or a Friday, right? Come along Monday, people still have to go to work, still have to have a job, still have to pay rent and buy food and everything. You have a life that's going to go on. So yes, there may be some things that shake us up for a little bit, but the realities of the life we live in and what goes on is going to continue either whether we know or we don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like compared to Pearl Harbor, say compared to the radio presentation of War of the Worlds, where people are being told that you're being invaded, they're in your backyard with terrible weapons killing everybody, that creates panic mode. And people in that situation, of course, would panic because there's zero defense unless they have a shotgun, and just like some people went out with their shotguns and went out looking for aliens. So it depends on the situation, and maybe the decision of our governments have been simply, no, we're not going to admit to this. We're going to leave it as it is and keep it as quiet as we can. So who knows,
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, no one has the right answer. No one has a wrong answer.
Exactly. Well, someone with something else to say right now has his hand up. Ed Brown, what say you?
Well, I think I'm sort of disagreeing with you, Thomas, on this thing about where we'd all go back to work the next day, if it's as severe as some of the things we've talked about.
Well, I didn't say the next day. We know on Thursday, Friday, on Monday, we still have to go to work. Gave us a couple days to digest it.
If it was as severe as the reason that they don't want to release it is it would cause mass panic and chaos, and for that reason they will never come out and say what it is, then I would say the day after is going to be significantly different than any other day in the world.
Yeah. It'll be a shocker, but yeah, I hear you. It depends on how bad it is. Now, here's the question. What would potentially be a worse scenario? Our government going and disclosing to us about something about it, or a bunch of UFOs coming down over all the major cities around the world at the same time, thousands of them?
That would be worse. That we talked about this before. Catastrophic disclosure has always been assumed by Lou and other people like him. It's not a smart thing to do. We'd be much better releasing the information ourselves to prepare people for it, than letting the NHI disclose it. Now, just to throw in my point, I don't think it can be disclosed until the NHI wants it. NHI wants it disclosed.
Right. Now, what if our governments made deals with the NHI that, let's say, by 5 years ago, they were supposed to disclose to the people, but our governments have stepped back on it. It's like, no, we're not going to do it. We can't do it. It's going to cause too much issue. But now we're seeing more UAP activity going on because the humans had a deadline. They went past it. So irrespective of the deals that were in place, they're moving forward with their agenda, whatever it might be.
Well, that'd be the question now, wouldn't it? If that really happened, and if we were in that scenario, that ought to be a reason for the government to panic for putting this off too long.
Yeah. Good points. Good points, Ed.
Hey, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Ashes has her hand up.
I was just about to call on her when I got done with Ed. Thank you, sir. Ashes, what say you?
Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late. My brain's been in a bit of a fog, but I'm glad I caught you. So I was wondering, if there is some things that they can explain, but there are other things that they can't explain? Like, what if we are in a simulation? Because that would be really difficult to prove. And then the other thing is, I believe that there is God. Okay, but I believe that he only cares about one thing, and that's love. I don't think he cares how we decide that he exists. But I think if we are in a simulation, maybe he's the creator of that simulation.
Yeah, but either way, whether we know it's a simulation or not, we're still a part of it.
Right? So maybe part of the government, yes, I do believe there's good and bad in everything, but maybe part of the government is trying to figure out how they explain something to us, because I know I still struggle with quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement and things like that. It's not easy to explain to other people if they don't have a background in science.
Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Thomas, can I take this, please?
Do you mind, Ashes? Go ahead and respond, Jeff.
I don't care, but I also want your input on that.
Your name is Ashes?
Yes.
Okay, so 99.999% of the world has no idea what quantum entanglement means. And I am part of that percentage. I know what you're saying, but I don't know what you mean. Quantum physics is very new in the scientific field, right? Quantum entanglement is even deeper than that. So all I was trying to say, and thank you for that question, is that it's going to be hard for anybody to understand what you're saying. I don't even know if you tried to explain it, whether we would know what you're saying.
You just need to take it and just take it down a little bit in description, so
okay,
anybody could potentially understand. Quantum entanglement, I believe, is when you have two objects that are entangled, but they're at a distance, and if something happens to one, it actually happens to the other because they're both entangled. Although they're not in the same spot, they're not the same thing. They were part of it, and two things that are entangled between each other, and it can be something that's close by or something that's over a great distance. As JB says, they call it spooky action at a distance.
I think
exactly,
you're close.
Thomas. And they have proven that two particles can do the same thing at the same time. It's kind of like Siamese twins, but being divided. It's pretty crazy.
It's more like identical twins, I'd say.
Yes, but I say Siamese because if one raises their hand, right, it's their hand together.
Right. But, God, I'd have to find it again. There was a video we played on here about a month and a half ago. There was two identical twins, and there was something that happened and they witnessed. And as they were talking they were all talking and giving the same question to the answer at the exact same time. So technically their thoughts are almost entangled, or it's just they're both processing the same way, but either way, it's kind of an example of it.
And also Keel's 4D example, I can't remember what it's called, his water pitcher or whatever. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? He was a physicist.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. He designed a bottle, and it shows that it has no entrance or exit necessarily. And that's the only way that we could kind of comprehend what 4D is like, because we live in a 3D world. So it's really, some of these things are really complicated to try to explain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So quantum entanglement is it's giving an explanation for something that can't be be explained. It's so difficult. I don't even know how. I can't even just. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Thomas.
That's okay. Absolutely. Actually, Andy W., you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I just wish you could find that footage of those twins, because that was exceedingly freaky. Yeah, to my mind, I have no idea about this quantum entanglement as well, but they were certainly entangled by being twins. It was the most. If people haven't seen this footage yet, they were being interviewed. They'd seen some incident on the side of the road, and they were literally holding the same conversation, exactly the same words. It was the most freaky thing. I think they're quite famous in Australia, these two sisters. It's the most freaky thing one of the most freaky things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Now, I do have an example. I did go to ChatGPT, of course, to try and get a description of quantum entanglement that everyone can understand. So it's like having two magic dice that are connected, no matter how far they are apart. If you roll one and it lands on a 6, the other one instantly lands on a 6 too, even if it's on the other side of the universe. It's not that one die tells the other what to do. It's like they are part of the same system all along and somehow know to stay in sync. Now, in the quantum world, particles like electrons or photons can get linked in this way, and measuring one instantly affects the other, which sounds weird, but has been proven in experiments. It's one of the strangest and coolest things about quantum physics. So,
yes, Thomas, thank you. That is amazing. This is like such a wonky explanation of things, but it's true.
Yeah.
So Schrodinger's cat, right? There's a cat in a box with a vat of acid on one side. On the other side, so on the left side, there's a cat with a box. On the right side, there's a cat with a box. Now, we know that the cat is going to cut that box open and tear it up, and there's going to be poison or whatever it is. So here's the thing. Schrodinger's cat is about the fact that we are both going to see the cat open that poison vial and not open that poison vial. It's both. So Schrodinger's, it's about them being in both places at the same time. So yes and no. So alive and dead.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's nuts. Yes, nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get on next to Neil, and then Ed and I've got some more stories, some more videos to show over on X. So let's get to it, Neil.
Yeah, and I'm loving today's show. Quantum entanglement. The way so for remote viewers, let's say, the explanation sort of involves quantum entanglement, but the idea of remote viewing being that the universe likes to be a universe of balance, and when we have a query in our brain, like we have a location of let's say an envelope with information in it, when we think about that location, that information, we're lacking that information, and in order to restore balance, we are provided that information because for whatever reason because particles can exist in more than one place at the same time, theoretically our thoughts can also be in multiple locations.
But it's not just multiple locations and remote viewing. You can see things in the future. You can see things in the past. It isn't just limited. It's wide open.
It's all one internal now. Like there's no, time doesn't exist linearly like we think it does. The idea is that everything, the past, the future, it's all in one eternal moment.
Tell that to all the different galaxies that are flying around our universe. They're not in all the places at the same time. They actually move over time. But let's move on. If we could, Ed Brown, your hand is up, my friend.
Well, I think quantum entanglement needs a practical example. It's like when you go to Vegas and you do something you weren't supposed to do, you're quantumly entangled to your spouse when you get back home. There's a practical example of it.
There you go, my friend. Sounds more like a psychic connection that is quantumly, but yeah, that is a connection that's there, my friend. Good example. All right, let's move on to it. Now we've got another clip here of James Fowler with Jesse Michaels, again, talking about Skywatcher, talking with government experts as possibly, and mentioning that the UAP could potentially be from off-planet. And this is coming from a recent briefing. Interesting, they're getting briefings. Something smells fishy here, my friends. Let's get to this. All right, let's get to the video clip. Let me put up the fair use, and let's go ahead and...
Your sense that they don't know?
There we go.
It's just so hard to make sense of how much the government actually knows on this. So is your sense that they don't know? Are they playing dumb or what? So I think it's kind of a mix. Okay. Right. So when I meet with the government and ask them, usually the conversation will go something like, James, nice to meet you. Let's talk about the data you have. Let's talk about what you're seeing. I'll lay out all 9 classes, kind of give them like probably 30 minutes to an hour long overview. And then they'll say, great, since we're in a skiff, I'm going to make a call to this other program, has all this knowledge and data on stuff, and I'm going to ask them if anything you have matches what they're doing. And the answer is always no. The answer is always they have no clue what you're talking about. There's nothing in inventory that matches what you're describing. So yeah, we don't know, right? And then usually what happens after that is a deer in the headlights look. I held a meeting recently where there was a guy on the VTC in a classified settings kind of smirking, right? I thought he was incredulous or thinking negatively about what I was saying. Turns out he was smirking because he already has done his due diligence and says, like, we have no knowledge of any of this, right? As in, like, maybe, I think he may have even said maybe this is off planet, right? Which is quite shocking when I'm in a room with subject matter experts from the government on UAP and UAP tracking and history. And the answer they give me is, maybe it's off planet. And he says in a smirking manner, because like I said, there's different categories of people. And even in a room of people who are studying or trying to learn about this, there's still that edge where there's a little bit of taboo for him to say that I think it's off planet. Yeah. Right. So, and I would also offer that typically engineers and scientists are bad liars. Usually they're not really good at keeping a straight face and talking around a topic. And I have purposefully affronted several of them or confronted them with some of our findings to see and measure and kind of put them in the hot seat to see if they have a reaction. And the reaction I get from them is typically very honest, that they have no idea what this is. And
okay, just to get to this really quick, biggest red flag I have here that I want to go ahead and bring out is they're gathering all of this data, of which they've shared nothing with the public on, nothing, but they're sharing it all with the government. I smell a rat. Something just doesn't seem like we've got the full picture of everything that's going on with this. Syrup, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, he said he's sharing this information with the government inside of a skiff. Do we have any idea who the government consists of? Who are these people he's sharing this information with? Like names or anything?
Oh, actually, he's not saying who it could potentially be. That's the problem, Syrup. They're not telling us.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a big, what's going on here type of thing, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's that.
Oh, that's it?
Well, I mean, I thought maybe he had mentioned who I just kind of jumped on the show and started listening.
I got you, my friend. That's fine.
He said he was contacting people that could possibly be working on these programs. I guess he's talking about what?
Less about
contractors or whatever that are working on these things.
Well, he's meeting with the government in a skiff. Right. It could be contractors or it could be officials, who knows, but they're in a skiff. They have to have the clearance, which also says these guys have some pretty high clearances if they're able to go in the skiff and talk about this stuff as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That was it. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, it just struck me. There are so many space-based platforms, satellites basically, that are scanning the surface of the Earth every day, every night, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. there must be so much data out there of these UAPs, orbs, whatever, these mile-long objects that are being captured.
Right.
It's all being hoovered up. Yeah. As we continuously, we continuously say,
Now,
none of this is being announced to the public.
Not at all. One interesting thing to bring up on this is, I know we're talking about this information and such, Andy, and the different situation that's out there. A lot of this stuff, remember David Grush, right?
Yep.
He was actually going ahead and he was he briefing the president about their findings when he was at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, or was it just the executive branch? I thought he was giving presidential level briefings.
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't.
I remember hearing that he was cleared to give presidential briefings.
No, he wasn't cleared. He actually was going to the White House and giving briefings.
Yeah, he was definitely insinuating that he was, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yeah, he made it sound like he was.
And if that would be the case, the president would know more now than he's letting on people to know, when he's been asked the question many times.
He should do. If he's doing his job correctly, which for you guys as Americans, and for those of us in the rest of the world, if a guy is doing his job correctly, he should be.
Yeah.
And to add to what Andy was asking, Thomas, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I read that Arrow wasn't even allowed access to satellite images of UAP. Like, they were blocking them from looking at all the satellite information, I think.
Well, all the information there's a directive that was passed by law that all information about UAP is supposed to come down from all the different agencies and flow to ARO. But not only is it's going to ARO, it's also going to NASIC, which is an intelligence arm of the U.S. Air Force. So if ARO's getting the stuff and they're playing stupid, there is another intelligence agency within the Air Force that could be brought to the table to say, okay, what information are you getting? Are you getting more than what ARO's letting on to? And potentially maybe there could be an answer if they wanted to play along.
I got you. That makes sense. Do you think it's possible too that the Air Force is stonewalling ARO, like getting the information first and being like, nope, they don't get this one?
They're supposed to be getting it at the same time, like a CC on an email. It's not going to one and then it's not going to one and then the other. It's going to both at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Michael Sokoloff, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, we can speculate all we want, but I think there are some things that we probably assume that are for sure. And one of those things would be reverse engineering. You'd be crazy not to try and reverse engineer what has been recovered.
Good point. I would say all the information should be available, honestly.
So, and if that's the case, then that would be probably high priority of top secret. And
what do they call it? Q clearance, I believe.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then of course they can't disclose.
Right. But there's also, in addition to that clearance level, you also need to have additional documents that are signed that give you access to SAPs and USAPs. So even though people have the highest clearance levels, they still need to go a step higher before they can actually see the goods or talk about it. And that's been the delay in getting Grush into a skiff, is because he got his clearance back, but he didn't get the waivers he needed to be able to talk at this level of security with the information he has.
Brings me back to my question, that the question actually may be moot because we don't know what scenario we're in. We just don't. Maybe there's that could be the reverse engineering could be one reason. Another reason could be that I've lost my train of thought on that now.
Mike pointed out the other day too, when I asked him this question, he also pointed out another problem is like David Grush knows where these special access programs are, right? Or where the reverse engineering is going on, but they're hiding it under prosaic explanation. So he can't even talk about it to our. They've blocked Grush everywhere possible that they could to give it the information he has in his skiff, and it just, yeah, like Tim Burchett said, it screams cover up, man. Like, what's all this blocking going on? All this
Syrup, hey, just wait. I mean, you're probably right. I think, in my opinion, I think you're probably right. But there is an argument that is just a word that is just not true, right? Hello?
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell, Jeff.
No, it's hard to tell, yes. But, okay, okay, so I'm just going to just spill guts here. So, Thomas and everyone listening, I believe in ETs. I believe that the government is hiding information on us, on everything. But like, I came to your chat, Thomas, and like a lot of people say things that are their beliefs, which is fine. But when they say them as if it's a fact.
It's a fact, exactly. And there's a big difference between a belief and a fact, Jeff.
Yeah,
a belief is something that I believe in Santa Claus, I believe in the Easter Bunny, I believe in insert something here, versus I know the situation.
So
right?
I remembered what I was going to say, Thomas. We don't know what the NHI's politics are. Do they have politics? Do they use politics? Is there a political struggle going on above our planet?
Are there multiple races here and they're competing for the resource and they all have alternate agendas? That's why we get some crashes at times. Not because they're being stupid or their crafts can't handle it, because there's another equally leveled intelligence that's there that they're not getting along with. Just because they're advanced doesn't mean they can't have their own, have their feet stuck in the mud in one particular direction or the other.
Again, my question then, Thomas, is that speculation or is that the absolute truth?
That there are, well, if there's one here,
It's speculation.
It's more likely than not there's more than one here, if one can be here. It's kind of like we've got one kind of bird. No, we've got all these different kinds of birds. You have all these different kinds of variations of different life, and you look at the expansiveness of the universe and everything we have out there, there's an endless level of possibilities. Now, we can't say definitively because we don't have the proof, but if the government that potentially has all these different specimens of aliens that are frozen solid, and they showed them to us and gave us the proof on it, then we would know that, yes, we have multiple life forms that are here interfering with humanity.
And we do know for a fact that there is the potential for life to be everywhere in the universe.
Oh gosh, yes. Life is pervasive in the universe. We can probably say that just based on what we found on asteroids, what we found coming from comets and everything. I would think it would be the exception that there isn't any life versus that there is life everywhere.
Right.
Yes, agreed.
I real quick, I'm not sure what Jeff was asking, but nothing I stated was a belief. I wasn't stating any of my beliefs. I was just stating what was happening.
Okay, Syrup. Syrup, yes, and I apologize for taking over this whole chat. I'm sorry. There's like a voice in the
Robert
background.
Howell, I'm muting you because you need to keep your microphone turned off when you're not talking. Thank you. All right, go ahead, guys.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, Syrup, I thought of you as someone that I came into this chat with, and you just, okay, in my eyes, you turned on me and you thought that you kept saying, like, how do I know you? I know you from somewhere. And it just wasn't true. Yes, I'm an asshole. Yes, I do want to try to contradict conversations, but no, I've never been in any conversation you've been in or you said yay and I said nay. I was really confused. But yes, I always want to play the devil's advocate, and I want to ask the question, whatever that question might be, right? But yes, I do admit to kind of going against your train of thought, and I apologize.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to chill.
Daddy, chill.
Yeah.
What the hell is even that?
Sergeant Daniel, your hand is up, my friend.
I just thought I'd bring this into a different direction. As far as the NHI goes, I do agree with Ed earlier's comment that I do believe that when they decide they're going to come forward, and that's when we're going to have our disclosure. I don't think the government's going to be. I think they're only allowed to say what they're allowed to say. I think Obama put it well when he said that they were in charge. They won't let us do this. He said it right on a talk show. So I believe that that's probably what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. So thank God I don't drink anymore. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Good questions, good conversation all the way around. Sergeant Daniel, thank you for that thought. Wow, great thing. A lot of people jumping in the back. I got to see what else. One more thing. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just sort of want to jump on what Sergeant Daniel said there. I've seen things that I can't quantify, which is why I've ever since I can remember, I've been interested in this subject. I've seen things that I can't quantify with my life experience. But I'm of a really strong belief that these things only allow us to see them when they want us to see them.
Oh yeah.
It's not accidental. You hear of people being contacted. Again, I believe this is only when these creatures, these entities, whatever the heck they are, it's only at their behest. We are not reaching out to these people, these entities. They're contacting us, and I'm of a really strong belief. I think it'll be catastrophic disclosure. It won't be from us. It will be from them.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you on that. Good points. I guess it'll be when they're ready. They're ready, and if humanity isn't ready, they're going to push forward and do what they feel that they need to do because, purely they are the ones in control. Robert Howell, your hand is up, my friend. You need to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hey, how you doing? This is my first time on your show. I've been watching you. I love your show. It's pretty good on it.
Thank you, sir.
I agree. I had my awakening back in 2023 on a flight from Detroit to Atlanta. I was just right before we got into Atlanta. The pilot announced over the loudspeaker, we'll be in the Atlanta airport within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. We were just passing. I looked out the right side of my window and I got a picture of a pink object that's just floating. It's just resonating. It's just hovering right there. And I didn't know at that point, as I did the research back, that we were actually at the 33-degree ley line, right before the Tennessee border and Georgia border. So I got the video. I sent the video out, and they said it was a verified video. I asked them, how is it verified? They said we have the flight plans for both commercial and military. We also have the spectrums of light that they're both seen in different spectrums of light. They broke that down to me, and ever since then, I did my research, and it's been a crazy journey, and I'm loving it. About the UFOs, yes, they are reaching out to us, but we also are reaching out to them in a way that we have to our vibration, the way our vibration and frequency that we are with our own bodies, that we'll be able to bring ourselves into that too. But also, it's a lot with them coming to do, because they're also lowering their frequency to come down in contact with us. Yeah. So I believe that this contact is going to happen in 2027 and more. So I believe it may happen before then, but they're looking at it for 2027. Right? They got to have this new world order agenda by 2030. So they got to have, also with this last pope that came in, he's the last pope. There's no more other popes after him. So now with the last pope that's here, he is a woke pope. Thank God he's a woke pope. So don't
he's
be
not
surprised when
woke.
he
I tell you.
starts.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see what he's going to release from that Vatican down there. That's because he's the one that's got to bring the 1 point something billion Catholic Church into the realization that there's UFOs and there's aliens. So he's got proof down there in that Vatican that he can release to let the world know.
Yeah.
Who are they going to worship after that last pope? The Antichrist is supposed to step in. And don't forget, they got to fulfill their little narrative from that religious standpoint. They got to try to fulfill the little narrative. But yeah, you got to look at who's going to step in.
Yeah.
And all this stuff's got to take place by 2030, y'all.
Well, don't forget, we're also going through a potential magnetic flip of our planet's, if you want to call it, a magnetic field at this point. And when that happens, sorry, Robert, I muted you on accident. Unmute yourself. I had to mute manual. Unmute yourself again. Sorry about that, Robert. You have to go on the little microphone.
Yeah, I got it.
There you go. Sorry about that. I was muting the wrong person in the background. Yeah, everyone has a different view of disclosure. Everyone has a different way that they could potentially understand it. You've got a good point of where you're coming from. And thank you for sharing that. It's a great point.
Hi, Thomas. Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead, Manuel.
Yeah, I'm visually impaired, by the way, and I find this UFO topic really quite interesting and fascinating. My question to you is, if there's UFOs visiting us, why isn't our technology like that's orbiting our planet not being interfered with?
Because they don't. Well, why would they not interfere with it? Well, potentially because they don't want to be picked up, that they're up there screwing with our potential things, and they don't care about it potentially. It's just noise for them. It wouldn't get them anywhere to go ahead and take down our technology, for that matter.
True. But at the same time, I find it fascinating, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting topic, and it's something that I've been involved in, whether I like it or not, since I was about 5 years old. So.
Hey, Thomas, I'd like to ask you.
And I'm a big fan of Star Trek as well.
Oh, excellent. Great show.
So it is, yeah.
Hey, Manuel.
Yeah.
So what do you think why would you think that the aliens would not mess with us? Because I would say a couple of different things. But I want to hear your perspective.
Oh, Jeff, if you want to see an alien hybrid, just look in the mirror. We're the only life form that doesn't make sense on this planet.
Oh no! What? All right, thank you, Thomas.
I'm not sure, but I think it's weird that they're not interfering with the technology that's orbiting our planet, like the satellite and the International Space Station and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But wait, there have been tons of videos coming from the International Space Station whenever anything comes on camera that could potentially be a UAP, they cut the feed. So I would probably have to say that yes, they are potentially interacting with and coming close and observing our space stations up there. It would make sense.
Yeah, I have heard about that.
And that is not a proven fact, but it is kind of whatever you want to say this, Thomas. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Especially fooling around with the signals and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got you, my friend. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we don't quite understand with it, and I guess we're just going to have to go ahead. Oh, here's we'll have to figure it out, because basically our satellites are equivalent to the smoke signals of the, if you want to call it, Native American Indians back in the days. So they may monitor it, keep an eye on things to a degree, but they have no reason to potentially interact with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Ontario, Toronto, Ontario.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in from Canada, my friend.
No problem. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for letting me chat.
Oh, yeah. That's what we're about. That's why we have you. We're calling, my friend. Thank you.
Actually, it's my first time.
Yeah, I know.
But I've been listening to you for a while.
Oh, thank you for being a subscriber and participating. That's what it's about. Everyone has a different view of disclosure. I've got a view, Mike's got a view based on all the information we've come up with, based on our life experiences, and everyone else out there has a different view of it. Everyone has a different view of what is disclosure. What do you think it is? You know, honestly, I'll say it. This is something, you know, the debunkers say, oh, yeah, we can't just deal with trust me, bro scenario where someone's going to say something. We have to trust everything they say. We want the proof. We want to talk about the facts. We don't want to talk about, you know, just on what people think, but talking about the facts is truly where it's at. Yeah. I thought someone put their hand up, but not. All right. On this, at this time, is there anything? I think I've covered all I got.
Myself.
Thank you, sir. I think we just got another super chat that came in from Anonymous Rex. Holy cow. Thank you very much. Tim Senor, doing some great things these days. Holy cow. I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody for the great super chats that you've thrown out today. Holy cow. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the love and support. Remember, we are a fan-funded program, and every dollar that comes in goes into the production of our show. I am humbled and thankful for everyone's love and support who threw us the super chats today. Let's bring it up. We got Anonymous Rex just threw one our way. Firefly, thank you very much. Ashes from the back, appreciate it. And Brendan England, thank you very much. Love all the love and support and everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. More importantly, I want to thank everybody in the audience for coming out. Thank you. Yeah, I scheduled the show wrong. Everyone still showed up 15 minutes before the show. I was like, oh shit. The audience remind me that why does it say the show's starting in 4 hours? I got that one fixed. We got it all taken care of. And then we had a great audience showing up here today. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. Not necessarily as safe as you'd be at Chuck E. Cheese, but
Go back to Party City where you belong.
absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.